Hi, my name is Hiroshi Kagawa. I'm living in Tokyo, Japan, where 2020, we had so many things, like a pandemic, cover all over the world. And also in the United States, election divided the society and the people hated each other. It's quite a sad issue. Not only in the United States, rainforest issue and many things happens all over the world. So I contacted more than 30 people from Nigeria to Argentina, from Seoul to New York. These people are my friends, and I gathered a comment under this terrible time, but to seek out our future hope. So please listen. They are like professionals, like a business consultant, English teacher, professor, TV director, HR director, and also like people who connect the world, based on the business or many activities. So just listen and think about for the future, what we can do for next year, 2021. Thank you very much. Let's start.
At the beginning of March, I was going up and down by train to Venice, having a normal life, going to swim, going, out with friends, cinema, whatever. And suddenly there was just a restriction, social restriction, and the social distance for everything was just locked down. So in 24 hours, I stopped doing my normal life.
It's the same here. In the first 2 weeks, I needed to cancel around 150 candidates of different taxes. So we work directly with the public. So it is impacted. Yeah.
It's a tough.
Anyway, we try to have a diversification of services. So in addition to testing, we also have some classes. It's not our core business, but we have some students preparing for exams. And also we have an e-commerce for books. And some of the things we can keep going, but some of them it's totally, we totally stopped.
And as you mentioned, there are actually two major airlines, American Airlines and Southwest Airlines. Their world headquarters is Dallas. And so I was just reading last month that American Airlines plans to lay off another 12,000 workers in October. And so I expect the economy, the local economy, to get worse before it gets better. However, relative to the rest of the United States, North Texas is much better. Where our unemployment is around 8%, where the rest of the United States is around 10%. So the key is that how do we create an exciting, interactive experience online, as close to in-person as possible. It's very, very difficult to do because most people get bored online.
Yeah.
So I feel that, the pandemic has really forced us in terms of doing business, forced us to adapt quite quickly to all the changes in technology. I do, however, feel that this particular change has allowed us to connect with people all over the world, where before we were very limited to people in our conference rooms, in our meeting rooms. So I feel that that's really an advantage. For me personally, I've spoken to people in over 50 countries in the last couple of months. Tourism, yes, tourism industry in general took a very big hit during the pandemic, but I felt like people are kind of becoming very, very good at adapting to different situations and adjusting the services that they provide to customers. So it's no longer obviously tourism, external tourism. Now they're kind of focusing on internal ways to accommodate the people, obviously the citizens that are living in the country.
Now, another challenge that we're having in the country is, you see, a lot of workers here are daily pay workers. So unless someone leaves the house and goes and work, he doesn't get paid. And a lot of these type of people do not have savings. So government is playing a balancing act of saying, look, I need everybody to stay home. But then if you stay home, if you won't die or you won't have the symptoms of corona, the other thing that might kill you is food. People might die out of hunger.
Yes, of course. I mean, nobody can deny that the market was affected by corona. But starting from Brexit issues, I was always optimistic about. I mean, things are going to be better, especially about business in the UK. And with corona, I'm optimistic because there are some good news coming, and we used to deal with this crisis, on how to walk, how to meet people and keep this distance, and then gradually, step by step, everybody should get used on how to deal with this.
Spread the love also in hard times, even if you feel frustrated, if you feel like you're losing, if you're facing existential questions, even, like, try to stay positive in your mind. I think right now it's the time where the most important thing is to stay healthy, mentally healthy and stable, right? So connect with your beloved ones and look after each other. So solidarity and human connection, even if it's just digitally right now, is very important. So give the love to the people that need it, and receive it from others because you need it as well.
On January 20th, South Korea and the United States first learned about the first official case in our respective countries. But South Korea is already on the downside of they've had this high curve, they flattened the curve, and now they're on the downside. So they haven't completely gotten rid of coronavirus, but it's looking much, much better there.
Oh,
so
almost actually.
Yeah, we have the same opportunity to do that in the U.S., even though we're a much, much bigger country in numbers of people than South Korea. But we did nothing for 2 full months until about the 20th of March.
Right.
It's not easy because we can only go outside for 1 hour a day unless we are doing shopping. So we can do 1 hour for exercise or we can go shopping. But the police are controlling the streets.
That means that if you go out without
in Paris, it's difficult.
So if, in that case, if you go out and then police may ask you why you are going out.
Yes, you have to have a paper. And on the paper, you have to declare there's 4 reasons. You can either be essential work, like if you're a nurse, or you can do shopping, or you can be visiting like a elderly. I have a friend, she's very elderly, she lives nearby, and I just go to her garden and we wave at each other, or I call her. So very essential things. So if you get stopped by the police, they check, and it has your address so they can see how far you are from your house. We have some common processes that continue, but a lot of our HR people are working a lot on, do we have to put some people on furlough? Some people have to go on partial unemployment because there isn't enough work for them, and we cannot pay everybody's salaries forever. So they're investigating who needs to be put onto, part-time leave or furlough and so on. So it's difficult now.
Personally, for me, it's not that big of a loss, or I don't have. At first, I felt stressed about it because a lot of plans were delayed. But I realized that it's much worse for the people who are poor or in the poorer class, because they don't have means to earn money.
Sure.
Like before, because they have to stay home and they just have to depend on the government's budget, to be given to them. So, yeah, I think that's the only thing that I'm concerned about.
So no, I mean, every business is suffering, and the government is pretending that they are not aware. So they are not doing what is needed to save businesses, to help with, I mean, most of the Brazilian economy survives on small businesses. And those are the businesses that are suffering the most, because small business people are the ones that, in theory, are closed.
But nowadays, there's almost no limit. Like, I wake up and I already opening up the computer, see all the emails I am receiving, answering emails and trying to work. And the same at the end of the day, it's almost 9 o'clock at night, and I'm still working on something. And I go eat, and then come back to the computer. So personal life, and the job life, the work life are mixed together, and there's no limit, and it's difficult. I think we are not going to come back like it was before. I think the globalization has changed. This pandemic has changed globalization some way. I don't know in which way it's going to come out, but it has already changed.
Yes, that's our common enemy, right? As long as we work together and then we overcome that, now our world become back to normal economy, economy back to normal, we are doing the business internationally. This is it's a trend. Nobody can stop this.
Well, the last time we talked, we also couldn't just move out of our houses, but at least now we can move out with restrictions and curfew. We can't be outside after 10 p.m. The first thing I'm going to do is I have to travel, because just before Corona, I was supposed to travel, and all the plans were cancelled. Yeah, so that's what I want to do.
I see. You mean in Uganda or many other places?
No, to other places. I think we were supposed to travel 4 days into the Corona period. Yeah, so all the airports were closed, and we had to revise the and the accommodation.
I see. So what country you want to visit? What country do you want?
I wanted to visit South Africa.
That's actually a very interesting point. It would be nice. I think even if there was no pandemic, it's always nice it's a more hygienic method not to go for the handshake and all that thing from the very beginning. So it could be that we all end up doing some other kind of salute, or like the bowing, or something more, safer for everyone.
Because when you're sick, you got to go to the hospital. For example, hitherto this pandemic, you can find about 200, 300 people waiting in line in my own department, which is the family medicine department.
Sure.
So we had to cut it down to about 50 at a time. We spread them around, and we keep them at least 2 meters away. We try to do that. And those waiting outside, we had to provide sheds outside for them.
So because of the internet, so you can continue the business.
Yeah, because of the internet, we can just continue the business, but it has dropped 80%. I mean, they are working very well in Turkey. But at the moment, in Istanbul especially, 90% of the beds are full.
Oh, wow.
So hope, this will decrease, but now our government is building 2 big hospitals.
We should be helping people who we know are frightened. We should be creating videos like you're creating. We should be calling older relatives who are scared. We should be calling old friends and asking how they're doing.
Beautiful.
Because if we are stronger than other people, our community, the ones we help in our community, can benefit from that. What I've been saying to people of our age, you and I are, I think, about the same age, is when you think about the experiences, our parents' experiences during wartime, what we are going through now is nothing. It's nothing. I heard from my father, who was from Germany, what his life was like, and I'm going to tell you, this is nothing. If we cannot create an environment now where we help each other and see this as temporary, then we are weak people, and we're not weak. So think about our parents. Think about what they went through during not so long ago, and what we have is so lucky. We have internet, we have food, we have friends, we're safe. No one's going to arrest us in our homes, So that's the message. Is it's not as bad as you think it is.
Of course, especially as a business owner, I feel, again, remember, this situation like this, a challenge like this, is the best opportunity to show the best of what you can do and what you can be. It is a situation that pushes us to a limit where we need to be smart and we need to think in creative ways. And so it will give us, to all those who have this strength and have the intelligence, it will give them a big opportunity to become even bigger after this crisis.
For next year, I just hope and pray that people could start traveling with less restrictions, and I hope people could go out of their houses already, because it's been a long time and it's difficult staying at home and not being able to go out when you need to, unwind. It's, mentally stressful.
There used to be war between South and North Sudan, and a lot of people lost their lives. A lot of people lost their homes. So people develop what we call the post-traumatic stress disorder.
You are right.
Which is from the stress of being taken out of your home, from the stress of being afraid to be killed, from afraid of not having enough food, and so people suffer conditions like anxiety, like depression, like stress. And from our point of view as a profession, we have made several initiatives to help these people. We have campaign to give these people psychological support, where we trained what we call community workers. We train the local people to help these people, to tell them about how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with depression, how to become a strong community together, and how to rebuild their lives again.
Ireland has benefited a lot from our membership in the EU. We also, just on a kind of personal level, Irish people feel more European than British people do.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, we're a small country, and Europe is a club of some big countries, but there are many small countries in there too. So we feel it's better to be part of that club than to be on our own outside.
Well, you know, it's not a secret that America continues to be a diverse country. Now, today we have in almost every school district, you have significant portion of students in the public schools are foreign-born U.S. Americans. They're citizens of this country, but they're foreign-born, or at least their parents were foreign-born. If you talk in the industry, we have significant percentage of the CEOs that are leading, you know, big American companies, including Microsoft, Google, Citibank, MasterCard, McDonald's. These are all foreign-born CEOs, but they're, of course, citizens of this country. So being an American, the perception that either you have to be white Anglo-Saxon or black, you know, African-American, that is something of the past. This is the strength of this country, whether it is religiously or ethnically or you know, sexual orientation. You know, unfortunately, the small minority or the loud minority, you know, I hate to say this, you know, the right wing, you know, Trump found a platform.
Yeah, all the Central American countries and Mexico, they have an economical and political situation that is a little difficult. So the people decide to migrate to the United States looking for the American dream. But the problem is they try to do it illegally. So I think that's what they are trying to stop. But at the same time, they are doing a lot of business. For example, the company where I work is an American company that is located in San Luis Potosí, and they take advantage of programs like Maquila. That means that the American company is the owner of the company. They are the owner of the assets and the materials, but they take advantage of the lower cost on labor that is in Mexico. So there are certain advantages between the two countries, and if they wanted, they can take the opportunity to invest here and have more profits.
One of the things that I think this election showed that I think is becoming increasingly important is just a demonstration of the power of storytelling. Mr. Trump was, before he was elected president, he was a successful TV star that portrayed a successful businessman on TV. And even though his actual business shows a history of bankruptcies and closures, his 15-year run on television really set a lot of people's mind that he was quite successful. And I think that's one of the strengths of that Mr. Trump was able to do, is to continue to speak simply and speak in a way that spoke to a lot of the concerns of a lot of the voters in the United States. So I think that he was able to develop that skill into 4 years of a presidency.
Mr. Trump sees his relationship in China as how it would personally affect him and his own family's business. This is very different than Vice President Biden. First and foremost, is a diplomat and is a friend to the world and to the friend of the people of the world. Yes, China has human rights abuses. Yes, China is one of the largest emitters to carbon, emissions. These are very difficult challenges. So we have to work with China so that they can have a country that is safe and not toxic and healthy air for their people to breathe, just like we do.
So Trump the president of the country has blamed basically California for not managing its forests very effectively. And the interesting thing about that is that it's not the state of California that manages the forests. It's the federal government that is supposed to manage the forests. So when Donald Trump blames the state of California, it's really him that is mismanaged so many of the forests. And the second thing is that these aren't forest fires necessarily. They start as brush fires. They start with the dry growth that makes California the golden state, right? When it's raining, all of our hills turn green and beautiful. And during the dry months, they turn gold, which is why we're called the golden state.
The Senate has 2 runoff elections on January 5th in Georgia, because neither senator won more than 50% of the vote. So they're having a runoff.
Right.
And if the Democrats can win both of those seats, they will be able to have control of the Senate from someone named Senator Mitch McConnell, who has basically blocked any legislation that is going to be helping the common person for the last 4 years.
I am a Jew, and I understand very well and feel the beliefs of our Christian brothers. So for me, for many Christians, they do not understand Judaism. A lot of Jews do not understand Christianity. I think that my life's mission is to make a true bridge, so it will be one Judeo-Christian civilization, and Judaism is a root, and different Christian churches are branches, and this tree has to be one. I can talk about that very interesting issue for a long time, but I do not say that that God is only God of Jews and Christians. God is God of all humanity.
Every society has its problems. And every society, whether it be pandemic problems or whether they be societal problems, they usually, they will come up, they will become heated, and usually some good comes out of it. We become a better nation as a result of it. We're never perfect. And, in 10 or 15 years, we have another issue that we have to work on. So it's societies are growing a country. As society ages, they go through a developmental process, and it never ends. It is a never-ending process. You never reach perfection.
Well, I'm sorry for my own English because I don't use it much, but in Russia for last maybe 20 years, and more European languages were always on the school program in Russia, and for last 20 years it was much of trade and educational and economic exchange between Russia and Europe, Russia and America. So there are many people talking fluent English in Russia, not only in the big companies, but also on the regional level, because many European American companies are much interested in the regionally located Russian businesses, and even there are joint ventures with European companies and American companies, and in fact in Japanese companies as well. It's a good opportunity to use English language when you are in business contacts with Russians.
For example, now I am, as you know, I teach languages, and teaching languages in a classroom and teaching it online, they're very, very different. So the skills I had, they're not really any good for what I'm doing now. So I feel like it's the same with any work. Like, you really have to develop a new skill, and some people maybe are very good at it, but some people like me, you really need to say no. This time I finish it.
The difference that what we are thinking of, talking about online, the way we call interactive distance learning, IDL, as opposed to pre-recorded materials. So when and if we are going to do online, the students sitting in Tokyo or the students sitting in San Francisco or the students sitting in the Middle East, they are on the screen side by side and interacting live with the instructor. So our native teachers could be midnight or late evening sitting in Oklahoma teaching to people to Asia.
Yeah.
and in that sense, we have already planned how to accommodate different time zones around the world.
There are many different strategies to work with people with accented speech. And sometimes it's not the pronunciation of the word that's the most important. Sometimes it's the intonation, the music of the language that's more important. And in English, we have what's called a stress-based inflection. And that means that in some words that have 2 syllables or more, we usually increase the pitch. So if I say syllable, you can hear me going up on the word syllable, on the first part of that word. And so learning the music of the language is really important.
That's always my advice for students to learn better in English. They have to have interest. Okay. And also in teaching them, okay, we need to teach them how to speak first. Don't teach them how to write and read. Teach them how to speak first. The reason is psychological. When we know that we can communicate in another language, we feel good about it and we want to do well. But if you start with writing, which is very difficult, and reading, which is very difficult, and then they lose the interest.
So I teach English, not only like English skills, but I always use, but the very important thing is using nice contents. And those contents are like mostly classics, like literature, music, movie, and so on. And so actually, I really think that it's important for the kids to get to know a lot of nice contents. I mean, stories around the world and around the history. And so that we can motivate their, interest in the language and also the culture.
A lot of STEM education is really mostly done in English because the core curriculum of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is very strict. You have a certain set of terminologies that are standard. And of course, a good example of that is aircraft. If you want to fly a plane and be a commercial pilot, you have to be able to speak English to be able to navigate around the world. And so I think that that's an example of this consolidation of media and communication.
So, what do you think? Now we are entering in 2021. I hope this year everything will be normalized. Where these people from all over the world, we can see everybody has everybody's issue, which is a common issue, you know, environmental problems, people's relationship, and the pandemics, and anxiety, and the future hope. So we need to work together. I would like to continue this interview again and again and again. So let's see you maybe within a few months, okay? And please stay healthy and have a happy and a fruitful 2021. Thank you very much.